Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Vermont House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026 at 2:05 in the afternoon. So we're just back from the floor. And we have a new draft of S313, and we have our legislative counsel with us. Good afternoon, Beth.
Good afternoon, Beth St. James, Office of Legislative Counsel. So I have draft 4.1 for you. And changes between draft 3.1 from this morning, or actually, I think it was 3.3. And draft 4.1 for this afternoon are highlighted in yellow. Share my screen. So no changes to the findings section since this morning. No changes to the legislative intent section since this morning. And big change, and I can already see something that I've overlooked, big change to section 3. So this was previously rulemaking, and I need to take that out and substitute the word guidance. Because what we've done in section 3 is gone from a directive to AOE to give the state board draft rules, and then the state board update the CTE rules. Is on or before September 18th, 2026. I've highlighted that in green because that is a bizarre date and I think it deserves your attention. The Agency of Education, in collaboration with BACTED and the Superintendent's Association, so the same groups that were supposed to be collaborated with for rulemaking, shall issue guidance on the following topics, which shall reflect the current career technical education system as it exists on July 1, 2026. In an effort to provide clarity to the field prior to updates to the CTE education rules. And then I've kept the categories of what needs to be addressed in that guidance the same.
We may hear something from AOE, but we'll leave them now for now.
Okay. Are you happy with September 18th for right now?
Sure.
Great.
They tell us different.
Okay. Section 4. Keeping the requirement that the state board review the rules, the CTE rules, at least once every 5 years. Previously, we had the state board shall review and update the rules not less than every 5 years. We don't want to require an update if it's not necessary. So now it reads the state board shall review the rules and procedures adopted pursuant to the section not less than every 5 years and shall update the rules and procedures as necessary. No change to section 5, which is the report back to you all on educator licensing, pre-enforcement intervention pathway, and flexible pathways. And then section 6 was an amendment to the current law definition of comprehensive high school. And we've kept the definition, but we've put it into intent language instead. So this section 6 now reads, current law, which is that statutory reference, defines a comprehensive high school as a public or independent school other than a CTE center that provides secondary CTE education approved under section 1533 of this title. As Vermont works to transform its CTE system to increase the access, quality, and opportunity of CTE programming available to Vermont students, the concept of a comprehensive high school could be expanded to achieve these goals. It is the intent of the General Assembly to move toward a model of comprehensive high schools that would offer all opportunities available to students within the public education system. Be defined as, and then we keep the same definition that was in statute previously. A public or independent school other than a CTE center that fully integrates the provision of CTE with the provision of general education in one school building or on one school campus, with a single budget for both CTE and general education. Then I've added a subsection B here. H 955 as passed by the House requires the State Aid for School Construction Advisory Board to make a report back to you all on several things, including how to achieve regional high schools. And so what this language is meant to do is tell the state board or tell the State Aid for School Construction Advisory Board or anyone else or any other recommendations issued to the General Assembly regarding how to achieve regional high schools, how to achieve more comprehensive high schools, or how to embed CTE within secondary schools to use the definition of comprehensive high school you have envisioned in subsection A.
What happens if 955 doesn't make it through?
So I did not refer specifically to 955.
Okay,
So I've said the recommendations issued by the state aid for school construction. So we can say, we could flip flop this. We could say if the state aid for school construction advisory board.
because we don't even know if that'll go through.
Well, the state aid for school construction
Reason.
advisory board exists now.
It does be from last year.
Correct.
Okay, yep,
So they are up and running.
yep,
So, but I hear you on what happens to 955.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the Senate is going to do.
right.
So you could not even reference 955. You could just say any recommendations to the General Assembly regarding regional high schools, comprehensive high schools, embedding CTE, whatever. I mean, we can keep going with the they might be used.
Yeah.
Have to use this contemplated definition up here.
Okay.
So do you want me to just take out reference to the school? Okay.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
I know it's just a study on the flexible pathways. Are we able to make policy changes, or would that be going out of its scope?
Well, the study is just the recommendation to come back to us to make change.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for modifying the flexible pathway statute, which currently
what?
to make it so that the parents have the choice to allow their kids to use flexible pathways versus the administrators of the schools shutting it down. Like, give a little more power to the parents to make the choices that are better for their children.
I don't know what the law currently says enough to understand how, you know, if that's an implementation thing or if that's a law thing.
It's a,
It might need to be studied. Like where the problem is.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna deny that. I'm thinking of like Vermont Virtual Learning Cooperative. It's a flexible pathway, but it's very difficult to get kids into it because school doesn't benefit the school for them to use that flexible pathway.
That's an implementation thing, right? Because if a school has a teacher in that, then they have access to the programming for free. But if they don't have a teacher providing services there, then they have to pay. And so they're different. So that's an implementation thing. So that's a study, like where the inconsistencies are.
Yeah, oh, no, I know. The study does what I want it to do, which is to come back with recommendations, which will be what I want. But I'm just wondering, could we throw it in there, what I want versus. But no, that's fine. I will draw it because I can tell that.
I'm open to. But, so, before we deal with that, we were just talking about.
Yeah.
The other piece first. Herb?
So I'm trying to understand, Beth, I'm looking at sec 6A. And you got the existing definition. And then you have some intent language. That includes a different definition, I guess.
Correct.
And then when you get down to B, the tail end of that direction, you know, shall use the definition of comprehensive high school created in subsection A. And I'm wondering if we should be referencing the definition of the intent language?
It's a fair point. I think use of the word created, right? This subsection does not create current law definition.
Correct.
So, that's, I was thinking it was clear with the term created, which one we were referring to, but.
Oh,
if
I
it-
see.
If it's not clear, then I can certainly add some clarifying language that we're talking about the intent definition and not current law.
Yeah, I was thinking for some more clear link, between the guidance in B and what the definition in the intent language is. Does that make sense?
No, the only reason B exists is
Okay.
to say, if you're gonna give us recommendations about this, you've got to be basing those recommendations on this intent language. It doesn't tell us what the recommendation.
No, I
Okay.
didn't mean that.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to, much smaller issue of
Which
how to
definition?
zero in on that, intent definition, I
Yep,
guess.
I got it. I'll make a note for the next draft.
Okay.
Yep.
And we, instead of saying you're basically telling them they have to use that definition. And instead, can we suggest, well, that's a model that they should use to create the definition.
We can say whatever you want. So rather than shall use, you'd like to say shall consider. Okay.
Yeah, this or other models, but I think we're giving them. Yeah, I don't know that the education committee likes us telling them what definition they're gonna use. But we can give them a suggestion and.
I'll never know.
Please.
Please use this.
So this is going to education afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, my idea will not pass theirs.
So no changes to section 7. I mean, we've taken some stuff out, so let me just, there's no way to highlight what we've taken out. So we're still on track here. No changes, 2 changes to the working group, but no changes to the makeup of the working group, powers and duties of the working group. In addition to consulting AOE and VACTID, the working group is required to also consult
Should
our
we change consultant collaboration?
policy choice. Would you like to?
And I don't think that the 8 legislators are not going to want to have.
I think collaborate feels like it's more. Collaborate feels like it gives more, like consult. Doesn't feel like you actually, like, you might be able to get around that a little bit more than collaborate.
What would you like to do?
Invite, testify.
I like collaborate better.
The working group with invitations to testify.
I will just,
I just kidding.
No, me too.
I will just give my admonishment that this is a legislative working group staffed by legislative staff. And so whether you use collaborate or in consultation, there are going to be ethical boundaries around how much staff can work with anyone other than the members of the table. So you all are my clients.
Yeah.
And I cannot provide legal advice to anyone who's not my client. So usually when we're drafting a legislative working group that's just legislative members, it functions very much the same way you function now, right? Where you are inviting witnesses in who have the expertise that you consider in making your legislative decisions. I would say that's consultation. You could also say it's collaboration. It gets a little looser when we're in the summer and no one's here and it's not the normal, like, machinations of the State House. And so I always get, just from an ethical standpoint, I get a little nervous when we're talking about collaborating, if I am going to be put in a position where I'm having to give legal advice to someone that's not my client, or take direction from someone who's not my client. I'm not saying that you shouldn't or can't use the word collaborate. I'm trying to set expectations of how, like, the boundaries.
But we
I'll
can
be
still,
the
like,
one-
we can say, we give you permission to work with a lawyer for AOE or.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think we're fine.
With which word?
Consultation.
Okay.
Whatever you feel comfortable, more comfortable.
I don't,
You're more
Yeah, what
comfortable.
gives you
I think you are
more
more comfortable with consultation.
and clarity?
I just want to be super clear for everyone who has nothing better to do than watch us on YouTube right now, that I am not trying to make a policy
No,
choice for you
understood.
all. I'm trying to set boundaries
Yeah,
and expectations for the summer
Understood.
I'm giving us legal advice.
on how we will all work together. So I'm happy to put any words you want in there.
I think we're good.
Okay. Okay, so, and the big add here was any other relevant stakeholders, so anyone else. And then we've added one topic to the list of items that they are required to come back with recommendations in the form of legislative language. And that is recommendations for ensuring that students will not be placed on a wait list or prevented from accessing CTE due to lack of capacity, or there is a viable alternative program that aligns with the student's intended program of study and meets program requirements, including sequencing and safety concerns through the provision of transportation supported through a state level funding or coordination mechanism, which is verbatim the intent language that you have up in section 2.
So I was thinking this would be a good addition. It is word for word, I think, Beth, the language in the intent section, legislative intent section at the beginning of the bill. And my thought would be, geez, that's great in the intent language, but if we want something a little more concrete to be able to follow up on next session, you might just put it here so that the group can work on it and make some progress, hopefully.
Everybody good with that?
I'm working on getting good with it. It's a working group that is working on governance and funding, right? Both.
I think that you've got a specific call out for recommendations on how to fund and integrate adult CTE. But no specific call out related to funding for secondary CTE. And my understanding is that is because you will be getting the JFO report back.
Right.
That was my understanding too. So that the fact that this specific one has funding in it is where I'm.
Yeah, no, I understand. It used that language because it was in the intent.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to
Can we-
change what people had.
Yeah, can we work on that language?
If you want, I was trying to make it simple. This issue is, talking to Patty and some other folks, it's sort of a combination of a bunch of different issues. It has to do fundamentally with governance, between sending school CTEs and that sort of stuff. But it also touches on schedules, it touches on funding. It touches on a bunch of different issues. It just, in looking for a place to put it in, it seemed like the logical place.
What's coordination mechanism?
I think a transportation coordination mechanism, like the coordinating
So,
transportation.
What if we just strike the supported through a state level funding? Just put provision transportation or coordination mechanism? Does that work?
Works for me.
Because the funding will We're gonna have to figure the funding out after.
That's fine, you know,
Because the report doesn't come out until after this working group is done.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
No other changes to the working group section. And then we have removed the adult education's access to CTE language. Which leaves us with just the effective date, which has not changed.
But that question is still up in the AO's charge to take a look at.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So everybody good with this so far? So we will wait to see if we get anything from AOE. Hopefully this afternoon or this evening. And we will take this up again tomorrow morning with Beth, and hopefully we'll move it. And can send it over to House. No,
Would that become hell high water?
well, unless you get something that's gonna blow the whole thing up from AOE, I think we're pretty much good to go. But if they do send us language, we need to look at it and have a discussion. on it, so. We have the whole morning book for this, so. Let's see what happens. So what? 2:45? We have Jen coming in.
45?
Yeah, so Jen Carby's coming in at 2:45. There's an amendment proposal for S-198, the tobacco bill. I got to thinking it might be good to have a report in there of what DLL is doing, how many attempts are they making online for online sales? So getting reports back from them and from AGO on, you know, how many referred to the AGO, what happened? What did the AGO, thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
How many, how many incidents did DLO send over to AGO? How many did AGO look at, and were they able to secure any fines, penalties? And same with DLO as well. So Jen will be in at 2:45. We'll look at that and just straw poll it, and then Teresa has agreed to look at it and possibly put it in. If not, then we'll put it in the floor amendment, but I think it's easier if they put it in. So with that, we'll be back at 2:45 to hear from